Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we will be looking at how to calculate directions. This man is heading towards the mountain. The mountain is located to the north of the man. The direction from which the man is walking is south. South is therefore the opposite of north. North is considered to be the most important point of the compass, since it is the starting point and all other directions are given in relation to the north. South is also important because it is the direction which is directly opposite of north. Now, this girl is going in a direction which is perpendicular or at right angles to the direction that the man is traveling. In other words, she is walking to the east of the man's direction. The direction which is opposite to the east is called west. Now we know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And therefore, using the direction of the sunrise and the sunset, we can also derive the directions of north and south. These four directions we have been talking about are called the cardinal points or the main points of the compass. Now we can remember these four cardinal points by using the acronym Never Eat Slimy Worms. Now, besides the cardinal points, there are also some other points of the compass. Halfway between the cardinal points are primary intercardinal points. Notice that the names of the cardinal points are combined to form the names of the primary intercardinal points. And when we give these names, north and south always come before east and west. Thus, halfway between north and east is northeast. Notice we've combined the name north with the name east to give us the name northeast, and notice we place the north before the east. Similarly, halfway between west and south we get southwest, because remember, south will always come before east or west. Besides the cardinal points and the primary intercardinal points, there are also some other points in between. These are the secondary intercardinal points. The names of the secondary intercardinal points are formed by combining the names of the cardinal points with those of the primary intercardinal points. And when we combine these names, we always place the cardinal points first. So the point located halfway between west and southwest will give us a point whose name is west-southwest. Notice that the cardinal point, which is west in this case, comes before the primary intercardinal point, the name of the primary intercardinal point, which is southwest in this case. So we have west, southwest. We never name it southwest, west. All right, please remember the rules. Similarly, the point located halfway between north and northeast is called north-northeast. Again, notice that the cardinal point, which is north, comes before the primary intercardinal point, which in this case is northeast. Now, how do we find the direction of one place in relation to another? Let's look at an example. This question says, what is the direction of the school from the factory? Now, if we look at the wording of the question, it says the direction of the school from the factory. This means that we are trying to locate the school and we are using the factory as a reference point. The word from in the question always indicates the reference point, which is also the starting point. Now, we already know that north is always the starting point. So we will begin by lining up our reference point, which is the factory, to the north direction. Once we know where north is, we can also tell where the other compass points are. Notice, therefore, that the school is located to the southwest of the factory. Now, another important thing for us to note is that all the points of the compass can be paired with a corresponding angle. We refer to these angles as bearings. Thus, we can calculate angular bearings, and we can use angular bearings as a means of giving direction as well. Now, I want you to take note of the angles for the 4 cardinal points. To the north, we have 0 degrees, and this 0 degrees is also 360 degrees. The angle to the east is 90 degrees. The angle to the south is 180 degrees, and the angle to the west is 270 degrees. So let us note again, north is both 0 degree and 360 degrees. It is both the starting point as well as the ending point. Also, notice that directions to the east have values between 0 and 180, while directions to the west have values over 180 degrees. This is very important when we're calculating the bearings. Now, if we want to give a more exact direction than the use of the cardinal points, the north, the east, the south, we can use our angular bearings. The bearings allow us to give those points which are between the 16 points of the compass, so we do not have to estimate. When we are trying to give the direction using angular bearing, we will need to use an instrument called a protractor. Let's look at a particular question so that we will be better able to understand. The question says, find the bearing of B from A. Now we know the rule already. The place that comes after the word from is the reference point. That means that we are trying to locate B, and we are going to be locating B in relation to A. So the first thing we will do is to draw a straight line connecting the target point, which is B, to the reference point, which is A. Now, at the reference point, which in this case is A, we are going to draw a north to south line. We will then place the center of the protractor at the reference point, which is A, and align the north line to the 0 on the protractor, which represents the starting point. Now we are able to read the value where the first line cuts through the protractor. The angular bearing of B from A or from A to B is 135 degrees. Now let's look at another question. This question says, find the bearing of A from B. So this time we are trying to find A and we're using B as the reference point. Remember, the first thing that we do is to draw a straight line connecting A with B. Then we are going to draw a line through the reference point, and remember the reference point is B. All right, and the line that we draw will be a north to south line. So the angle that we're trying to find starts from the north to south line all the way around to the first line that we drew. Now, let us remember that the angle along a straight line is 180 degrees. So we know the angle from north to south. But the angle is not completed there. So we need to find the rest of the angle from south to the first line. So to save us the extra step and the extra time, we assume that we have already measured the angle from north to south, and we know that it is 180. And so now it is time for us to measure the angle from the south to the first line that we drew. This is why we are now turning our protractor in the other direction so that the zero is now aligned with the south. This does not break the rule that north is the starting point, because remember, I'm emphasizing it, that we have already assumed that we have measured from the north to the south already, and we know that that is 180 degrees. So when we measure from the south to the line, we get 135 degrees. This, however, is not the complete answer. In order to get the answer, we are going to add the 135 to the 180 degrees. And this gives us 315 degrees. All right, So I encourage you to rewatch this video if you do not understand everything at once, and see if you can get some practice questions and practice as many questions as possible until the skill is well developed. Once again, I thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe.